We're joined today by comedian Joe Pera. He's the star of the show Joe Pera Talks with You on Adult Swim, and he's also on tour right now, the Midwest and Rust Belt Tour, and it's coming to Minneapolis at the Varsity Theater. 2 shows coming up on August 7th. Joe, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Dustin?
I am doing excellent. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, no worries. Happy to talk.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Joe, can you tell the listeners a bit about, how you got into comedy for those who haven't discovered you yet?
I kind of just wanted to do it growing up. My dad is a real funny guy, so me and my buddy Dan Licata just started writing jokes, and eventually when we went to college, we got to perform them, and then kind of we do stand-up in both at school, and then I would come home and do it in Buffalo in the summers. But it was just kind of writing with Dan and making each other laugh, and it's very neat. He writes on my show, and we're still doing a stand-up show in New York to this day. So, yeah, a lot of it has to do with my friendship with Dan Licata and just loving going to stand-up shows.
Awesome, yeah. And your approach to comedy obviously is a lot different. Most comedians traditionally write, jokes and come up with bits, and your approach is a lot different than other comedians I've seen. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of jokes. I take a lot of pride in my joke, getting good, sharp jokes, but I guess I just do it at a little bit slower pace. I'm not really a witty guy, so I realized that if I just took my time with it, I could create a little bit extra tension in my own way, and also, the jokes are almost more important when I'm performing at my slower pace, because if one doesn't land, it's an awful long time until the next joke.
Well, Joe, was it tough for you to hone your craft in New York City? It seems like a lot of the comedians coming up now usually lean more towards, being loud or sexual or controversial. I mean, your approach is the complete opposite of that. Was that tough in New York City to get that going?
I guess so. But, I mean, doing any comedy in New York is tough. I think I almost had an advantage because when I was, people were talking about sex or getting real loud and fast, it was easy for the audience to, or maybe pay attention if I was just going at a different pace and talking about, I don't know, old newspapers or something like that. is something that they weren't less expected.
Well, you're currently on tour now, the Midwest and Rust Belt Tour. How's the tour been going for you so far?
Yeah, it's been great. Been trying to do as much poking around as we can in addition to the shows. It's more tiring than I thought, but all the shows have been really fun. Been trying to keep the audience on their toes with some surprises, and there was even some guy asked if he could propose to his fiancée during the show in Chicago, which was a pretty special moment. At first, I thought, this is a comedy show. I don't know how it fits, but then I realized that I don't know what better way for a show to end than with people getting engaged. So I said at the end of the show, I think I'm going to wrap things up unless somebody wants to propose to their girlfriend. And the guy did it, and the crowd went wild.
Well, yeah, luckily she said yes. Otherwise, that'd probably leave a sour taste in their mouth when it comes to you.
I know. They would have. We were aware we would be part of their, life story going forward, and I'm glad that it went well, as opposed to, maybe she said no and explained in detail to the guy why she didn't want to marry him in front of all those people. It would have been people would have walked out feeling a little different.
Well, Joe, I know you've got 2 shows in Minnesota, an afternoon show and an evening show in Minneapolis at the Varsity Theater. I think one of them even sold out already.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of out of fear. When I announced the Midwest and Rust Belt tour before, I just the way that it lined up just didn't there weren't theater availability in Minnesota or in Minneapolis at the moment. So when we were going to do more shows, or people got kind of upset saying, "What about Minneapolis? What about St. Paul?" And then so we made sure to come back so that nobody came to one of my shows somewhere else and used the taser on me for not doing a show in Minnesota.
Well, when you're in Minnesota or around the Midwest, do you try to do any research for your shows? I mean, we've got a lot of spruce trees and turtles and giant ships around these parts.
Yeah, we'll have to dig into it when I get there and see some sights. We had fun in Grand Rapids last night. I was saying they used to be known as Furniture City because all the furniture they produced, and now they're known as Beer City because they got so many breweries and it is good beer. But I asked the audience to sober up and figure out what's the future of the chair instead of just making beer. It's important work.
So it seems like maybe your stand-up bits kind of change depending on what city you're in. Are you always kind of constantly changing up things?
Definitely. I always want the show to feel different night to night for the audience and for myself. I'm currently on tour with Carmen Christopher, who's got a real great stand-up special out on Peacock, but he's been coming up at the end of the shows, and we kind of will talk about where we're at and try and make it feel different, maybe make fun of each other a little bit, and just anything to keep the show feeling different and new. Because when it's where we feel like we're kind of, I don't know. The thing about stand-up that's nice is that you can always change it moment to moment, even within the show, and that's what keeps it exciting for me, and that for the audience too. When you're doing something new, there's always the question of will this or won't this work, and that's why they should see a stand-up show instead of a play.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are excited to see you here again. You'll be at the Varsity Theater in Minneapolis coming up August 7th, I believe. And I think, maybe people like us here might relate to you on a different level than other places. It seems like the people around Minnesota, at least, we share kind of a similar disposition, maybe.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think that's why maybe people were bummed that I wasn't able to do it in the first run of shows. But I think it's it's very close to where the show is set in Marquette that I do for Adult Swim, and kind of got a lot, Great Lakes, a town like same as Buffalo where I grew up. So I think that the humor and the specific details kind of really line up nicely.
And you mentioned the show for Adult Swim, Joe Pera Talks with you. I know that just wrapped up the third season. Are there plans maybe for another one? Is that something you're going to do going forward?
Well, we're trying to figure out something, but no official word yet. So I'm just trying to put my energy into doing some good shows and getting to see more of the country than I get to see just doing the TV show itself, because I'm kind of in one place, and touring is a nice opportunity to get around. So, if anybody has any Minneapolis recommendations while I'm there, let me know. I'm happy to check out a good museum.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know a lot of comedians, I guess, kind of use stand-up as a launching point. Maybe they have aspirations to move into film. Is that something maybe you're looking to branch out into some film roles?
For me, stand-up has always been like as close to the kind of like the most pure form of comedy. Sure. I think because you're able to figure out between you and the audience very immediately what's funniest in that time, and see what is working. It's kind of a really direct experiment in what's funniest at any moment, and I think that kind of to stay with that pulse, I want to keep doing stand up. for my entire life. If I think it's the key to staying funny and making fresh work outside of stand-up. So I never want to get too far away from it.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you've obviously been very successful with the stand-up, and you got the TV show. I know you had a book out. Would you ever consider making an album? Not a comedy album, but like a music album. I think that's something that needs to exist.
I've been pretty lucky with all that I've been able to do, and I there's some like little songs that I write for inside my show, like the lyrics for like song "Warm Apple Night," which is just it's a minute long song, but that's enough music for me. I'll let somebody else do it.
Well, Joe, again, it's been great speaking with you, and I know you're on the road here, and again, coming to Minneapolis here in August. Is there anything else maybe in the works for you, or something else we should look out for?
No, just hope everybody has a great weekend, and maybe see you in August.
Awesome, man. Again, Joe, I'm a big fan of yours, and it's been an honor speaking with you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, same. I'm so excited to do the shows in Minneapolis. It's like, yes, I would be very bummed out if I wasn't able to come, because we did shows at Turf Club 3-4 years ago and had a great time. So it would be fun to be back.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people are looking forward to it, and I am as well. And hopefully we can speak again sometime. Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, of course. I'll be around.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Bye.
And again, that was comedian Joe Pera, star of the Adult Swim show Joe Pera Talks with You. And he's also on tour right now, the Midwest and Rust Belt Tour. He's coming to Minneapolis August 7th for a pair of shows at the Varsity Theater.